Chief Judge. Contestant number 1, Toastmaster Johnson. Marriages are made in heaven. Marriages are made in heaven, Toastmaster Johnson.
Thank you, Contest Chair. A quick disclaimer before I start my speech. So if any of you are about to get married, then I would highly recommend that you do not listen to my speech. I will not be held responsible if you decide to change your view regarding marriage. For those of you who have recently got married, you may go into a state of denial after you hear me speak. In such a case, please reach out to the people who are happily married and then they will help you come out of this. Contest Chair, fellow and future Toastmasters, a very good afternoon. Now, as per the Holy Bible, God took 6 days to create earth and the entire rest of creation, and on the 7th day, He rested. Now, fast forward 2000 years, we take 5 days to create so-called value, as they call in IT, for our customers, and then we take rest for 2 days. In many cases, I have seen the opposite also. Work for 2 days and take rest for 5 days. But anyway, coming back to the Bible. I really don't think that God really rested on the 7th day. Do you think God needs rest? He's God after all, right? Why would He need rest? So as per me, God did a very special activity on the 7th day. He made matches. And now these are not the matches that you get in a box that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the matches that you see on your wedding cards. And that is why they say that marriages are made in heaven, because God, as per me, spent the 7th day making matches. And like the ones in the box, which can light a lamp, the ones that are made in heaven can light an entire neighborhood. And you know how the ones that are in a box over time will, go damp and they lose their spark? The ones that are made in heaven, they have the opposite effect. So as time progresses, they mature, and like an opera singer, their intensity and their power increases to almost window-shattering levels. I was thinking that whether I should give you a demo of this window-shattering level, but then I realized that your audio device may not really agree with my exceptional singing abilities. So I decided to spare you the trouble. So coming back to our marriages that are made in heaven. Now, today I'm going to tell you about one such marriage that is made in heaven, and that is none other than my very own parents, who I feel are a perfect example of a match that has been made in heaven. Now, my parents were brought together by someone called as Annamma. Now, Annamma, in the olden days, you used to have marriage brokers. So, Annamma is my parents' marriage broker. So she was the one who found these two profiles and got them together. Now, fun fact was that my mother actually initially rejected my father's proposal. So that is when Annamma got down into her element. She's like, child, look, I have seen a lot of proposals, and this particular person's proposal is the best for you. He is, one in a million, and you definitely would have done some really good deeds or have some really good karma for a person like him to offer their hand in marriage to you. So listen to me, go ahead, and you will have a peaceful and happily married life. That happened 36 years ago. And in their 36 years of happily married life, the only regret that my mother has is that she is not able to catch hold of Annamma to thank her in a more befitting manner. Now, to tell you why their marriage or is a match that is made in heaven, I have thought of some incidents from their day-to-day lives, and I thought I'll share it with you so that you also understand what happens in a situation like this. So the very first one that I'd like to tell you about is their sleeping habits. Now, my father is a sort of a light sleeper, and my mother is a deep sleeper. Perfect combination. So because he's a light sleeper, he has to sleep multiple times throughout the day. So afternoon, then evening, then night. So during a typical afternoon, my father will be sleeping, and my mother, she doesn't sleep in the afternoon. So she'll be on the bed just going through her WhatsApp feed. And then typically there'll be that family group, and there'll be that one video in the family group which would have this uncontrollable and maniacal laughter towards the end. The ones that you see in your TikTok videos. So that is when my father will wake up with a start. He has a very light sleep, you remember? And then he'll start rambling. You guys don't let me sleep, I wake up in the morning and do all the housework, and then you guys are all sleeping that time. I don't have any peace in this house. I'm going to leave. And saying this, he'll take his bedding and he'll try to find another place in the house to sleep. Many times he'll come into our room and say that you go sleep outside, I want to sleep here. The second such incident that I have in mind is when they do gardening. Now both my parents are retired, so they have nothing else other than watching their soap operas or argument or gardening. These are the three things that they do in life. So now when it comes to gardening, my mother is a slightly better gardener. She makes good use of Google and YouTube, and then she keeps getting these new ideas and tries it out, and then her gardening skills are much better. So my father is still stuck in the age-old gardening techniques. So a typical conversation is like this. Hey, listen, I think, this is my father saying, I think that this particular plant needs some fertilizer. And my mother is very good at giving replies. She'll be like, the only thing the plant needs is your inattention and some sunlight. Please do not touch it. Long story short, my father will go and put some fertilizer. And he's like your friendly neighborhood chaat wala, who will give you an extra dose of chaat masala towards the end. So after putting the required dose of fertilizer, he'll just put some more for good measure. And what happens is that already dying plant will die a very slow and painful death. And then my mother will go on ranting about this every time there is a point related to gardening. The other thing is that my mother keeps cutting away or trimming his trees. That is also when my father gets really wild. He says that I'm going to close away all my gardening. So what finally we've done is that now I've marked an X on my father's pots so that my mother knows that she's not supposed to touch those. The third one is about their driving style. So once when my father was driving, so my mother is sitting on the left and she's supposed to take care that nothing untoward happens during driving. So during one such time, a two-wheeler fellow just came and brushed them. And then immediately my father started shouting that you were supposed to see this, why didn't you tell me, blah, 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 blah. Hearing all of this, the two-wheeler guy who was waiting to claim some compensation, he thought that, okay, I'm not the guy who's come off worse in the accident, let's just push off. So these were just three small incidents that I wanted to bring before you to show you what a marriage or a match made in heaven is really like. If you want the more authentic experience, what I have decided is to monetize this whole thing. So I've decided to put up my house on Airbnb so that you get the real experience of a marriage that is made in heaven. Special discounts to the funnily named people in today's meeting. Over to you, contest chair.